Welcome to Parks and Recreation Today. I'm Brown Simpson, Parks and Recreation Director for the town of Fort Mill. And it is my honor to welcome my two guests today, Buddy Faile, who is Director of Greenway Operations, and Bill Steele, Director of Greenway and Resources and Facilities here at the Ann Springs Close Greenway. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Brown.
Thank you, Brown.
Buddy, if you will, tell us a little bit about yourself briefly and your background with the company.
Okay. I grew up in Lancaster, and my history with the company goes back to when I was a kid. I grew up going to the swimming pools, going to Springs Park, playing on the tennis courts, going to the bowling alley, and Leroy Springs has always been a part of my life. After graduating college at Winthrop, moved to Myrtle Beach, and not long after they opened the Live Oaks Hotel in '95, I started work at Springmaid Beach, and I was there as an assistant general manager until 2002. Bruce Rush, who I went to work for at the beach, had moved up to the presidency of the company at Leroy Springs, and then he offered me an opportunity to come to Fort Mill and work in other parts of the company. And in 2005, I was given the opportunity to have responsibility for Greenway, recreation, catering, and Springmaid Mountain operations.
So you got a lot of responsibilities.
Yes.
Definitely
but
do.
I enjoy it.
I know you do. Bill, tell us a little bit about your background with the company.
Okay. Well, I'm from Lancaster as well. Buddy and I were in high school together. Bruce Rush offered me the position as a Greenway Director in December of 2000. So I've been here coming on 11 years. Overseeing facilities and operations and natural resources. And
you've got a big job here at the Greenway. And Bill, if you will, tell us a little bit about the history of the Ann Springs Close Greenway and how it got started.
Okay. The Greenway officially opened on the official Earth Day celebration, which was April 22nd, 1995. The concept had been discussed in the Springs family in the late 80s, and the first document that was signed to begin the Greenway was signed by candlelight at the White Homestead the evening of Hurricane Hugo, September 21st of 1989. It took those 6 years for it to develop, and it opened in 1995. The dairy barn was opened in 1946 originally as a dairy production, the dairy operation, then it was converted for an event venue for private parties, weddings, and receptions.
Well, that's great. I know there's a lot of activities here. Buddy, I'm going to ask you, how many acres of property are here, and what's the different type of activities and amenities that y'all offer here at the Ann Springs Close Greenway?
We've got 2,300 acres of green space, Brown, and over 36 miles of hiking, biking, and horseback riding trails. The Greenway extends from Highway 160 and Springfield Parkway over near the recreation complex, back around through Fort Mill to the intersection near the Peach Stand at 160 and Highway 21 bypass. We've got our own equestrian center where we do trail rides, lessons. We have an Adopt a Horse program, and we also offer an exceptional equestrian program for kids who have physical and mental challenges. That's a great way for people to get involved at the Greenway if they would like to volunteer. We also have a plant-a-row garden over near the Greenway headquarters that is also maintained by volunteers. And they have seasonal produce which they donate to the care center in Fort Mill. So everything that's grown on the Greenway is donated out. We have a lot of other programs. We have historical, cultural, and natural resources. Our environmental educator, Dottie Metzler, does a good job of working with the school district and homeschool programs, associations, to provide on-site environmental education and nature education. And she's assisted in that sometimes by volunteers. And one of our newest sites is the grist mill, accessible off of Steele Street. And it's a representation of the original grist mill that was here in Fort Mill and for which Fort Mill is named. Billy Barron is our docent over there, and he does a good job of helping interpret that program. And I would just encourage anyone that's not seen the grist mill and seen a working water wheel, come out and take a look at it. It's really something to see.
And I think there's a lot of hidden amenities within the Greenway. A lot of people from Fort Mill might not have seen some of the things you just talked about, and it's right here in their backyard.
It's right in the backyard. A lot of it is hidden. You have to hike down some trails to get to some of this, but once you get there, it's well worth the hike. We've got the Graham and the Colthorpe cabins, which were originally from this area but relocated to the Greenway, and there's also some interpretive education that goes on there. We've got exhibits, and we do some period reenactments occasionally at those sites. So it's just a good environment to come out and a good environment for learning. We're sitting about in the middle of the old Great Philadelphia Wagon Road that used to run through this area in colonial times. And you know, a lot of people don't realize how much traveled right through this area years and years ago. It was the superhighway basically between Philadelphia and Augusta.
That's amazing. Buddy, let's talk a little bit about the refocusing of the mission of Leroy Springs and what the plans are for the future for more focus on the Ann Springs Close Greenway.
Well, you know, Leroy Springs is in a state of change. And what we're going through is we're coming out of last year and a strategic planning process wrapped up, and we were visioning for the future. And as it turns out, we're in the middle of implementing a 5-year plan, trying to get things ramped up so when we get the funding, we can implement some of the new capital projects that we have planned. You know, the Greenway is really the crown jewel in the Leroy Springs portfolio, and it'll be the legacy of the Springs Close family's commitment to recreation in this area. We just combine the operations of the recreation complex and the Greenway in order to streamline things, try to make things a little easier to operate for us, make things easier for the customers, the members, the community. And I think what you'll see is we'll be able to blend the indoor recreation and the outdoor recreation opportunities and the things that we can offer to the community, and it'll be a win-win for everybody. We will be the leading provider for unique operations like this in this region.
And especially in the recreation leisure activities part of what we all do. So,
right.
And I think that'll be great.
You know, we've got the recreation complex that is now incorporated into the Greenway. We've got fitness and all types of other programs. And we can get beyond the walls of that and really bring in the Greenway, the outdoor, the hiking, the biking, the programs that we offer out on the Greenway. Part of the refocusing also is we want to let people know who we are and what we do. And I think there's a big resource out there for us in terms of volunteers and what people could bring to the table if they knew what we were looking for. And one of the things that we've really held back on in the past is going out and letting people know how much we need their help. We need volunteers for different programs, whether it's the Exceptional Equestrian Program, or if it's to be a cabin docent, or to work a welcome station. There's a lot of opportunities. Dottie Metzler, our environmental education director, you know, she runs a lot of classes with the school district out here, and she needs help.
And I've been a part of some of those too, and those are great opportunities for the kids at the Fort Mill School District, and I guess any other school district in the area too have the opportunity to be a part of those too, so those are great things. Bill, let's talk a little bit about the Greenway. What is something unique that somebody from Fort Mill might not know about, that's really a hidden treasure that you've been around here for a long time, that's something somebody's missing, that you encourage them to come out? What would that be?
I think the most unique thing that the Greenway holds is the Nation Forward Road. It was a wildlife corridor 10,000 years ago. Then the Native Americans used that trail. Then the European settlers immigrating from the Northeast used that trail as a road. The Confederate soldiers returning from the Civil War used this road. Cornwallis and his men in the Revolution used this road right through where we're sitting right now. So that's the most unique thing about the Greenway. A lot of folks moved to this area just because of this jewel. The Greenway was had a perpetual conservation easement placed on it in 2007. So this property is guaranteed never to be developed for commercial or recreational use. So it's a piece of natural landscape 3 times the size of Central Park, right between Rock Hill and Charlotte.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, and there's 36 miles of trail here for hikers, equestrians, and mountain bikers to take advantage of. And the folks that grew up here, a lot of those really don't realize that's here for their use.
That's great. Bill, how many people use the Greenway on a daily basis or a weekly basis, monthly? How do y'all keep up with that?
We have the trailhead kiosks where we have the sign-in and day use fees. We collect monthly information on that. We collect it daily, but we report that monthly. On average, we have 70 folks a day using the property. That's a yearly average. So, and that you know, more so on the weekends at our major events, more so than weekdays. But we are open 7 days a week. We may close for a day after a large rain event of an inch or more of rainfall, but just to protect the trails.
And if you could briefly hit some of the big events that happen out here on the Greenway on a yearly basis.
Well, the Earth Day has been our biggest thing. That's when we opened. We now have it.
That's in April, correct?
Correct. It's around the second to third weekend, Saturday in April. We now have a barbecue and bluegrass event, which was in late September. This year that's going to kick off our month of October Fall Festival. We now have a corn maze for families to enjoy with several other amenities. We'll have bluegrass bands that day of the bluegrass and barbecue cook-off as well.
And the corn maze last year, that was the first time y'all offered that, and it was a huge success. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's right. It was about 3 acres and very popular.
Yeah. We partnered with Springs Farm to bring that. You know, Bill and I had some ideas about creating a corn maze. Ron at the farm had an idea about creating a corn maze, so we all just got together and said no reason to compete against one another. Let's go ahead and partner. And we developed a fall festival and a corn maze event, which turned out to be one of our most attended events all year long because we ran it for 5 consecutive weekends through October. Luckily, we had great weather each weekend. And in addition to the corn maze, we offered horseback riding, wagon rides, kayaking, canoeing, hay mazes for the kids in addition to the corn maze. And this year we're looking to expand on that. We're going to have some theme weekends. So when people come out, there'll be a lot to do in October. About midway through the month, what we'll do is we'll start having haunted trail rides or a haunted trail and kind of bring a different perspective to what's happening out here at night. We tried that last year. It was fairly popular, and we're improving it, and we're in the planning stages now to get all that in the works.
That's great. I mean, that is great. There's a lot of great things that happen here at the Ann Springs Clutch Greenway. Bill, briefly, just talk to me a bit. You got a lot of woods, a lot of forest here. How are y'all managing the forest? What are some of the things you're doing?
We preserve the forest. We manage to conserve the resources that we have. We have a full-time staff, including 9 employees on the Greenway. We have a few part-time. We have around 15 part-time and full-time at our horse operation. We do prescribed burning to control the forest fuels to prevent wildfires. And that's something that we have to schedule carefully with wind direction, you know, near residential areas so we don't cause any smoke problems. But prescribed burning is a very helpful and effective tool to keep our forest healthy.
That's great.
One of the things, Brown, if I might say, is we're getting ready to aggressively pursue an invasive species plan. You know, if you drive through Fort Mill, it's not just on the Greenway, but there's a lot of kudzu, there's a lot of Iliagnus, and we're going to take a hard stand against that. And I go back to the volunteers, groups looking to do service projects, people for looking to get involved in the Greenway. Bill will certainly have a program to allow people to come out, help do trail work, help do invasive plant species management under Bill's direction, and hopefully improve the Greenway more so going into the future.
And I know briefly, we're getting ready to close with this segment, but I know we talked yesterday, Buddy, or Bill, you and I did, about you had a lot of Eagle Scouts that have done scouting projects here.
That's right.
To finish up for their Eagle badge.
In the time I've been here, we've completed 51 Eagle projects.
That is great.
It's a great win-win for the Scouts as well as the Greenway. We have the majority of the Eagle projects have been trail reroutes and closures. We're always trying to make our trails self-sustaining and not erosive. So,
well, that is awesome. Buddy, briefly, people have have questions about the Greenway. How do they get in contact to find out information about the Greenway and other programs that Leroy Springs offers?
They can visit the website. It's ascgreenway.org, or they can go to leroysprings.com, and they can access information about the Greenway, information about recreation, and then link to other parts of the company if they're interested in golf or beach or mountain operations. It's easily accessible on the website, or they could call. The number to the Greenway office is 803-548-7252.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank both of you for being my guests today on this segment of Parks and Recreation Today. And Buddy, I will say on behalf of the town of Fort Mill, we appreciate and value the relationship that we have with Leroy Springs. I think it's a win-win for all the citizens of Fort Mill.
It's a good mutual relationship.
It really is. So, Bill, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Brown, for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We're going to take a short break with some information about upcoming events here at the Ann Springs Close Greenway, and also information about fall registrations for the Fort Mill Parks and Recreation Department. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.